Welcome to the third battle between an Optimate and Madatgascar. Today's factions, we have Egypt, played by an Optimate, versus Madatgascar, playing as Epirus. And I can see that the Egyptian took the more expensive Sarissa pikemen, at least 4 of them. He also have Roman legionnaires and some short pikes. A very high quality supporting infantry, but I do see that Epirus has more supporting infantry than what the Egyptians have. Another worrying sign though is that the Egyptians have cavalry very far away. When the factions are very similar, there's no real need to be that super sneaky, especially. But we will have to see what is going to happen here. Egypt's going to take his forest line, and Madatgascar is going to take his forest line. We will see how things develop. I see 2 Agrianian, very flexible axemen, very tough axemen. I have 2 ammunition. Then I also see a Epirus spear here on this side. I see 3 light hoplites. Here like spear infantry, very mobile. And then I see some more Epirus here coming to the other side of the woods. So we will have to see, but taking cavalry here, trying to get to the rear, it's very risky. This Thessalian cavalry could just form a diamond formation and would be faster than this Sarissa Lancer, can just take it out. I do feel like maybe in terms of cavalry, I think that the Epirus have an advantage. The Epirus have, let's see, on the pike unit 9, 12, 35, right? Yes. So very similar, but still a bit inferior. Here, how to proceed here, you first of all you need your cavalry next to your cavalry. There's no point in being so super fancy here. Just keep supporting spears. Just place your Sarissa pikemen in front of the bronze shield pikemen, because again, players will not commit their Sarissa pikemen against another Sarissa pikeman. You're just gonna pin in place and then you just play on the flanks with the supporting infantry. Egypt has the advantage in terms of the short pikemen, but Epirus have numbers here. Very cost effective cavalry here. If you want to attack a place, I would say be defensive on this side and attack the other side. Why? Because there are a bit lighter cavalry units here that can be killed off, and then you can just take your surviving cavalry back to your own line and then reinforce and counter the enemies remaining. Let's see what happens here. The pike lines are approaching each other. The short pikemen got hit by the Epirus spears. And Madatgascar is forming up here. He's placed himself in a line. That's good for him. Egypt's Sarissa line is not in line. He needs to reform over here, regroup. He's being very aggressive here now, to side. He could push with his legionnaires up to here, form a square, and then use the short pikemen to try to hit the flank here. But now you can see that this is a single cavalry unit against 2 of the enemy. And Madatgascar still have reserves of infantry. He can move to either side. Imagine if these troops were already behind on the flanks here. He could immediately push the flanks. These short pikemen are just being hammered by these Agrianian. These legionnaires were pinned down by the bronze shield pikemen. An Optimate is now reforming his pike line. That's quite good. But this is a mess. And an Optimate is now, like this is only 1 unit here free against 2 units here. He did just walk in and did not charge here. Okay, now he made an attack order probably. Form a short pike phalanx here to start attacking this unit. Move closer with this spear unit, but then you also need to move this cavalry closer here. I feel like this is an overcommitment, but I think he's realized his mistake. He's moving his short pikemen here behind to get a route on this bronze shield. If he gets a rear attack, that may well happen, and he can start rolling up here. He definitely needs to keep his rear lines clear. He could form a square with these against this with these legionnaires, but just to hold in place, because then you have no outflanking penalties, and that's what's going to happen here. There's just too many reserves here for the Epirus. They're using the gaps here, and this is very bad for the Egyptians. The Thessalonian cavalry is coming in here against the short pikemen. Short pikemen try to turn, but they get demolished. And they also have infantry here that will be likely rout, and this cavalry unit got charged by the Epirus general when they tried to intercept. And they just broke here. This is very bad for Egyptians. And Egypt can't really counter this. This Thessalian cavalry can now roam free here in the rear area. This Egyptian general attacked these two cavalry units of the Epirus on his own. And but these Sarissa pikemen are on its way. This cavalry unit is in the rear, but it's useless. There's spears all around here that this unit can't really do much. And these Sarissa lancers, supported by elephants, could easily drive these men off. And yeah, this general is vulnerable to these Indian elephants. Yeah, this is very bad for Egypt. He can't counter, and this cavalry now got routed. So you're trying to have a double line here, but it's just making more gaps. Having a nice orderly line of pikes, but the cavalry can just smash into any of them and rout them. And you can see how easily pikemen break here. So that will just free up one more pike unit. There's two cavalry. He's tried to ward off the cavalry with the elephants. There's a bloody pike fight over here against the... Come on, Peltas. They try to hinder this elephant unit, but they're bunched up too close together. They will kill a few elephants, but they will lose in the end. Egyptian cavalry here, they're too static. You either need to go back to your own lines to try to re-establish control, because it's essential to cover the rear, and these pike units are not fighting these pike units, so they're just losing. This is good elephant charge. Good use of reserves by the Epirus. They always have reserves. You can easily counter anything that happens. We routed these bronze pikemen, and but these pikemen are getting cut down by these Thessalian cavalry. So good job from Madatgascar finishing off the pike units so they don't reform. The spear unit came in here to try to assist against the elephants, but that also means that these Agrianians also came in and get a flanking penalty on all these units, and most of these Sarissa are light. They don't really have armor, so they're very easy to kill. And Madatgascar has more mobile infantry, like he can easily flank and get a flanking penalty on all these units. These legionnaires are like saving themselves by forming a square. That will help them, but everything else is vulnerable. These Indian elephants got routed, but I would say that's a very high concentration, and cavalry superiority of the Epirus is gonna win them the day. His only hope is these elephants now. But these infantry of the Egyptians are just getting flanked. There's not much that can be done. All of the Epiroti infantry units have bonus versus elephants and bonus versus cavalry, except the Agrianians. But even the Agrianians have bonus versus elephants, so it doesn't matter. And the Roman infantry of the Egyptians are exhausted, and otherwise it's just pike on pike, and it's not going to looking good for the Egyptians. So the Egyptians are in very big trouble here. You can see that very high concentration of freed up units for the Epirotes. So, and also like these light hoplites that are spears have 4 speed. They can, if like he wouldn't, Madatgascar wouldn't even need to send a cavalry unit against chasing down a routing infantry unit. He can just send them. They will catch up to anything. They're very good for hunting down elephants or other units. So that cavalry behind the enemy that backfired for the Egyptians. He should also have had his short pikes next to his Sarissa pikemen. Had his Sarissa pikemen in an orderly fashion. The legionnaires on the very far edge, if not legionnaires, then those heavy spears that can form a square, and then you still have the bonus versus cavalry. So yeah, good game to Madagascar, playing conservatively and using reserves effectively. And out of curiosity, I will go to custom battles and make myself an Egyptian army. And I think I already have made this one. I've made one other. Yeah, I think this would have been better. There's some cheaper pikemen over here. The Tyreosi, Judean Tyreosi, are a bit more armored than the Tyreosi of the Epirotes. Would that be better? Well, it would. You have an even number. It's still 18 units, right? But that would give you more support on the flanks that have bonus versus cavalry compared to having legionnaires. You also have 3 Peltas pikemen now that you can help to push up on the sides. So the Judeans, and you have better cavalry. It's a heavier cavalry than the Sarissa lancers. Not as fast as the Thessalian cavalry, but still, it is more formidable. I will give you a quick on how to set up a Successor Kingdom army. It's just a basic general here, so don't expect me to fight the AI, really. So what's critical in a Successor Kingdom army is to protect the flanks of the pikemen on hoplites, if you have hoplites. So you place your Sarissa pikemen right before contact with the enemy pikemen, so maybe the enemy pikeman is right in front of your pikemen, but you're not committing because you also want to pin the enemy. Why risk troops? And then you place your Peltas pikemen, maybe 2 of them. Maybe like this. You have the Judean spears first up. Why? They have a javelin unit. They have javelins. They can hurl at the enemy spear units, and once you're out of, you have thrown your javelins, that means that your Peltas pikemen will have taken less damage. They won't take missile damage before actually going into melee. And these elephants have scare ability, so you want to place them maybe where you want to demoralize the troops a little. Maybe the troops it's even, right? But these elephants have scare effect. That will cause a morale drop on the enemy infantry in this sector. So they will rout quicker and saving you men that you can then use on your side. Now these Peltas are very good for dealing with elephants and cavalry. So it's very beneficial for you to have them. Keep your cavalry next to your own line. Now, this is just one cavalry unit, right? But if it's a defensive operation, this is going to play, then be defensive on this side and offensive on this side. Pin the enemy in place with your own pikemen and push. Throw your javelins, and after the javelins have been thrown, these pikemen can now move up. And if the enemy doesn't move up, just keep going. And then once the enemy comes in here, you just move your spears to the side once there's a commitment going. So maybe this one will then turn this way here, and then you place this pike unit here. Then well, let's imagine this one. Then this one will push up, right? And then you start to break up the enemy. Just play conservatively with your cavalry. Now, things will be different if the enemy brought an artillery piece, the Scorpio. That will snipe cavalry very easily. But that's another question. I just wanted to show you some basic Successor Kingdom tactics here. You don't need to do something super fancy. Just let the enemy throw their javelins at your own spearmen that are expendable. Then your own spearmen can be on the side, flank. You move up your short pikemen if you have them. And you demolish the enemy in front of them. Then you can move up on the side of the enemy pikemen and form a pike phalanx here and start causing casualties. And the enemy pikemen can't generally retreat because they're slower than the short pikes. And if the enemy tries to turn to face the short pikes, your own long pikes can then also move up and commit. And then you can just retreat this short pikeman again and just keep up the pressure, and you will eventually win. So I hope you enjoyed this video battle. Please leave a like. Have a nice day. Bye.